Angus contends with tomb raiders. As it's one of the coldest days that we've had so far, I had wanted a short walk today, and began the walk by pronouncing to Angus that it's cold outside and touched his ears immediately I entered the house. He didn't care. He led assertively to the park, running as much as he could and only slowing down because I wanted to be careful around ice. He ran straight up the hill at the first intersection, and we saw a half-eaten squirrel carcass in the middle of the trail. This was only about 30 feet from where he had buried the squirrel, and when he pushed through shrubs to that burial ground, the squirrel was no longer there. Angus was breathing very hard, guttural, but from deep within his body, almost moaning as he breathed. So he went back to the carcass, which I assume is the one he had carefully buried. He was pulled away, but ever so gently. He was not aggressive about wanting to eat it. Angus was stubborn. He kept on sitting down in the direction of trails that led further away. We did several rounds around the park, with the word treat used continually. He did finally agree to leave the park, but not before going through shrub and grassland. The shrubs are already preparing for spring, and they are growing very sharp thorns. It's excellent that Angus knows the word back, as he had to do that many times when we were entangled in them. Angus was always wanting to go through bushes where only by squatting could a human pass through. He saw trails from the sidewalk on Ash Avenue leading into the woods, and I told him we'll go explore that some other time. He looked so sad by the time we got to the church, and he jumped up on the embankment alongside the sidewalk to walk higher up on that berm, like a human kid. Then he pulled to the wetland next to the church. As we were so close to home, I entertained that, and he did a good bowel movement in front of the stone retaining wall. As we were leaving the church, he began to limp. Back right leg was not weight-bearing. So after a cuddle and holding his paw with my hand until all the snow and ice had melted, we returned home, straight to the front door. There was no backyard play today, but he did fetch toys and play tug-of-war with Sparkles after being dried in harness scrubs. He was also chased because he won the wrestling match over Sparkles. He settled on his bed as the bowls were washed and water refilled. He waited to be tucked in and patted. When the sun came out, Angus moved so he could sunbathe while sleeping. He's so happy.